Hello, hello. Good morning. Happy Monday. I am Manila Chan. That over there is Ted Rall. You are tuned in to the Ted Manila Information Show, otherwise known as the TMI Show for short, because we really do bring you way too much information. And it's mostly stuff that you'll probably be talking about at the water cooler, presuming you've managed to keep your job. Uh,
You have a
unlike
water,
Ted and I, you have a water cooler to go
yeah,
to.
or you could just rent a water cooler or something.
I
Steal
think that's
one.
how most well, I don't know. I think back in the '80s, my family used to rent that Sparklets water cooler. Do you know what I'm talking about? The Sparklets man
No,
used to bring. You guys didn't
no.
have that in the Midwest?
Sparklet. Sounds
Yeah, the
cute.
Sparklets water. Sparklets water. The Sparklets man would come with his big, those big jugs, the 5-gallon jugs of water, and the cooler that plugs in, you can never buy it. You'd have to rent it from the company. And then the what comes with it is how much water you need. So it comes with X amount of whatever. And the Sparklets man, much like the milkman, would bring water because, as we know, Ted, the water in California, do not drink it. You will die. Don't drink it. Don't drink it. So that's what we used to do. Anyway, we do this live Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. So please be sure to hit the like, the follow, the subscribe, and the share button. Please share our content. Grab one of these little short clips on YouTube and post us all over your social media. And then you might like us, but some of your friends might hate us. So you can tell us what they say. Um, but a
Well, we
share
won't
is a
really
share.
care, but
Yeah, a share is a share. And a reminder, today and tomorrow shows, Wednesday through Friday, Thanksgiving break. No shows. So you got Ted and Manila and Robbie, Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, well, I have family coming into town very soon today. And then Thursday is Thanksgiving, Ted. And then
so
Friday is the holiest of holy American holidays, Ted.
Black Friday. That's
Black
true.
Friday.
It's the
The
high holiday
holiest, the highest holiday of
of
American
capitalism and
capitalism. That's like
consumerism.
that is it. So I guess we'll check, Ted.
So
We're gonna
tomorrow is
check.
our. So we're just doing 2 days this week, huh?
Yeah, because
Slackers.
yeah. Well, we all deserve time off and be with family or whatever. Doesn't your son come home for Thanksgiving?
He does.
Yeah, they get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, college gets
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
couple days off, right?
Yep.
But then they go right back. It's just a couple of days.
Yep, that's what they do.
I don't remember. It's been too long. I don't have no idea. I don't know. It's been like a quarter century since I've been out of college. Almost, Ted. Almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Is it? Yeah, I mean, I still have dreams about college sometimes.
Right. Right. Like, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, I've been out of college longer than college kids today I'll have been alive to be in college.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah. So that's what we're doing this week, guys.
I
So
miss college. I loved it.
I don't. I do, but I liked the classes. I didn't like the bullshit the crowds having to park, you're stalking, trying to get a parking spot. That's how it was for me.
Yeah, when you go to college in New York City, you don't have to worry about that.
Oh, yeah. So we had slightly different.
It's funny because people don't really get that. Like, sort of like if you watch. So in The Sopranos, did you ever watch The Sopranos?
Yeah, I didn't regularly,
the
but I've seen
daughter
it.
Meadow. She goes to Columbia, and it's so funny because you constantly. First of all, it obviously isn't filmed anywhere that looks anything like Columbia because it doesn't look anything like Columbia. But anyway, you hear constantly like Manhattan street noise coming from the window, like honking, sirens, and it's like no, Columbia isn't like that. It's in Morningside Heights. I mean,
Right.
yes, there could be, but the truth is it's a pretty quiet area, and
It wasn't like Midtown.
No.
Like people shouting, pizza
Right.
boys, pizza delivery guys running around.
It's the difference between like downtown Washington, like Constitution Avenue, as opposed to like out of
Arlington.
there. Yeah, like Arlington. It's a little quieter. Yeah. You know, it's more like you might hear a car go by, you know, like that. People are barely be honking because there's like no need to honk
I've
near
been to
Columbia.
campus when it was still a recognized university.
Yeah, School of Beauty.
Way back then. Now it's gonna be School of Beauty, plumbing school,
Yeah,
whatever
that's
they're
true.
turning it into.
Well, I
So,
mean, it would
that'll
have
be fun.
been a more useful skill than I could. I mean, granted, who doesn't? We've all been on the plane. It's like, this is the captain. Is there a historian on board the plane? We please step forward. Please hit your call
Urgently,
button. If you're highly knowledgeable on the history of Vichy France during World War II,
we
make
urgently
yourself
need you
known.
in the cabin.
We need you post haste. We really need to. We're having a whole argument about James K. Polk. Come up right
Well,
away.
can you imagine, there couldn't be a I would say there couldn't be a more pressing time for needing a plumber on board than if you're stuck on a plane. Can you imagine?
Oh God, that'd be bad.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
If there's a
That, like,
plumber, it's terrifying.
forget snakes on a plane, Ted. Forget
Electrician.
snakes on a plane.
Is there an electrician on board? That'd be bad.
Like, oh
Is there a
man.
firefighter on board? That'd be really bad.
Well, yeah, yeah. I would say, well, those are all really bad, but I mean, without being catastrophic, I would say if there was a plumbing malfunction
Mm.
on the plane, Ted, can you imagine? Oh, oh
Poo on a
god.
plane.
Just lava flowing out down the aisle.
Well, yeah, you know how, like, I mean, it is true. Like the pressurization could go bad, right? I mean, like,
Oh
as you
god.
know, there's the whole blue ice thing, right? Where the ice falls off the plane
Oh,
and
yes.
into people's houses and stuff. And
Yes, yes.
that's frozen piss, right? That basically congeals on the bottom of the plane under the toilet and then
Well,
falls out.
truth be told, Ted, I don't really know how, and this is the travel week, by the way, so this is kind of relevant, right? So, um, I don't really know. I've never thought about it really or looked into it. I don't really know how the toilet flushing mechanism and where things go, how that works on a plane.
It's a suction situation. It takes advantage of the pressure differential
Really?
between the inside of the plane and the outside of the plane. That's why when you're in the toilet, it's like when you flush, it's like totally intense. Think about
Oh,
that.
I wish our houses did that. Okay, anyway,
So there's apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but there have been reports historically of people who were sitting on the toilet on a plane and their buttocks created such a tight seal that their large intestine was sucked out of their body.
no. No.
Mhm. That's true.
No.
I mean, it's true that that's been reported. I don't know if it's actually happened or not. Yeah.
I'm gonna look that up. That's one of those, maybe it's not a good Thanksgiving conversation to have with my in-laws.
Well, it all goes to show that you should not form a tight seal with your buttocks over the toilet. That's always wise. I think about, like, I had a friend who lived in a squalid part of New York City in the outer boroughs, in a former industrial loft, and she had formed a tight seal over with her buttocks over the toilet, and a rat came out from the toilet and bumped her buttock trying to escape. Because the rat were now this is true. Rats do travel through the pipes in buildings. So she, of course, in a very slow, dignified way, extracted herself from the toilet. No, I mean,
wouldn't you just shoot up?
No, I'm sure that's exactly what happened. I wasn't there. I only heard the story later.
Oh God.
But she saw the rat fly out of she felt the rat, and the rat then was scrambling up against her butt. And then
oh my God.
And then the rat came scrambling out into the apartment and never to be seen again.
Toilet rat loose in the apartment.
Toilet rat. And apparently he wasn't small either. You know,
yeah,
he was
people don't realize rats are much bigger than mice.
Yeah, she said he was close to a foot long. So even allowing
oh God. Okay. Nope. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna not talk about that one though at Thanksgiving, that's for sure. So hard pass. But anyway, we'll get to the news. There's a lot to talk about, Ted. It was not a slow weekend.
No.
Leading up to Thanksgiving. You would kind of hope that it would be, but it just usually In any normal administration, Thanksgiving is like a slow blah week, and the biggest news of the week is usually usually POTUS, freeing some turkeys. But
Pardoning
that's
them.
not this week.
I never understood the pardon. The pardon kind of implies that they did something wrong.
Right. What did they do wrong? What they were
we need a show trial for the turkeys.
Jailed. They were jailed for no reason, I would say. Free the turkey.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, they're innocent.
Right. So I don't know. Joe Biden freed 2.
It's more of it should be more of a clemency maybe than a pardon.
Yeah, that's true. They've worded it wrong. All right, let's get to the news.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So of course, Ted, this happened before. Am I frozen? I can't
No, you're
get
not
my
frozen.
tabs.
You're not for me, you're not anyway.
Oh, my tabs won't. I can't get back to my StreamYard tab. So I can't even scroll the rundown. So Ted, you might have to. Nope. There it goes. There we go. All right. So of course, this happened, Ted, after we got off air on Friday, but I think everybody's heard by now. Marjorie Taylor Greene, out of the blue, resigning from Congress after her acrimonious split with Donald J. Trump. She announced it on Friday, of course, in the evening. I'm going to put this on the stage.
Yeah,
that's
so obviously not trying to make a big splash.
Right, because Friday is where news goes to die.
That's the media. That's I have coined that the media dump day.
Why would she do this on a Friday? Like, I'm just gonna slide in my resignation and hope no one notices.
Fuck out.
So as we know, Greene was one of Trump's earliest allies and supporters, most loyal, ardent supporters in Congress. Like her first go around in Congress, she always kind of made a big spectacle wearing like Trump gear. And but what did it this time was her incessant push to release the Epstein files. Quote, if I'm being cast aside by the president and the MAGA political machine, she says, I don't think we have time to play it, but I'm at least going to play her moving around talking. But this is her quote. She's saying she's being cast aside by MAGA and the political machine, replaced by neocons, big pharma, big tech, military industrial war complex, foreign leaders, and the elite donor class that can never, ever relate to real Americans. Then many common Americans have been cast aside and replaced as well. Bravo. That's Ted. I just can't believe, like, in the past year, the transformation that we've seen from this woman that I can't believe in the past year I've found myself agreeing with her more than I disagree with her. And I think a lot of people were in the same position, or like, is that Marjorie Taylor Greene making sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Right? We're like, what happened? What happened to this lady? Yeah. Greene was first elected to Congress only back in 2020, representing Georgia's 14th. Her last day, she says, will be J5 of 2026, January 5th. I wonder why she didn't make it J6 just to make it a more of a punchy statement. You would think.
Apparently this is the first day, as John pointed out on Deprogram, that she qualifies for her pension. So she's hanging out long enough to get her pension.
But I would have said J6 just to make it punchy on the anniversary. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I don't know. I think then she might be seen as endorsing J6.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I would have just made it more. It'd be more memorable. So Greene has obviously been taking positions in recent weeks that have puzzled Republicans, irritated Trump. She said her party has no plan when it comes to health care. Ted, oh my God.
That's a fact.
I mean, it is, because this affects her because she has, young adult children that are soon going to graduate out of the Obamacare rules of 25, and, they can stay on mom's healthcare plan until they're 25 or whatever. She has kids in that age group. She was one of 4 Republicans to sign a discharge petition to release the Epstein files against Trump's wishes. This is when he was still against it. In an interview with Axios last month, she slammed Trump's second term agenda as America Last. Trump responded in a Truth Social post on Saturday, calling Green a traitor and accusing her of calling it quits because she didn't want to face a primary challenger without his endorsement. Although I think her position, her seat in Georgia 14 was safe.
It would have
Quote,
depended who she was
yeah,
who they tried to primary her with.
I think
Obviously,
she was safe. I think Trump's just talking shit. But quote, for some reason, primarily that I refused to return her never-ending barrage of phone calls, Marjorie went bad, bad, bad.
bad.
Nevertheless, I will always appreciate Marjorie and thank her for her service to our country. Now, Trump told NBC News on Saturday that it's not going to be easy for Marjorie to revive her political career, but he would love to see that, quote, end quote. He said as of now that she's got to take a little rest, you see. Take a rest. Like, does he think she had a nervous breakdown or something? Like, what does he think?
Nervous breakdown.
Like, I don't think that's what's happening here. So Trump claimed the tensions began after he showed Green polling suggesting that she could not win a statewide race, even with his endorsement, which he said was not going to give. He wasn't going to give. And the political operation in recent days had been fielding interest from potential MTG challengers. One name mentioned in pro-Trump circles is Clayton Fuller. I've never heard of him, but I'm not in those circles. Clayton Fuller is a Northwest Georgia district attorney who ran unsuccessfully against Green back in 2020. So sure, of course he would. Yeah, why would he work now? So I'm just gonna skip through here. Thomas Massey posted on X saying, quote, I'm very sad for our country, but so happy for my friend Marjorie. I'll miss her tremendously. She embodies what a true representative should be. Green's resignation letter will shrink House Speaker Mike Johnson's majority, with Republicans now controlling just 218 seats. Democrats currently have 213 seats. Under Georgia law, Governor Brian Kemp, who's a Republican, must hold a special election within 40 days of the seat becoming vacant.
Oh, that's
Allegedly,
very soon.
Yeah. Allegedly, Trump has been privately expressing frustration with Green for months and has been asking around saying, what happened to Marjorie? What happened to her? What? I don't think anything happened to her. I think something happened to him. I think she's always stood where she stood, and MAGA changed. I don't think there's any two ways about it. I think she's always been this way.
You mean not MAGA changed, he changed.
He changed. The tenets of MAGA have always been the same, and Marjorie was always in it. And so is Thomas Massey. I know Robbie's got a lot of thoughts on this, so I'm going to bring him in real quickly. Robbie, tell us, this is more your area of expertise because you were original MAGA before. Mm-hmm. You stopped being MAGA because are Ted and I right that MAGA, the tenets of MAGA are the same? It's Trump that changed. Marjorie didn't change. Trump changed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still MAGA. The problem is that so here's the split. You have people like me who think that the sole role of the American government should be to put the interests of the United States and the American people first, that nothing else matters. That's the touchstone. Sure. If it's good for the country, good for the population, that's what you do. It doesn't matter what countries in Europe or Asia squawk about. It does not matter. That's the goal. But then you have the Trump sycophants who look at him as Orange Jesus, like they're a member of the Trump cult. And so that's the split. Trump is a full-on card-carrying member now of the Republican establishment. I mean, so think about this. He goes out and he endorses Randy Fine, who is a complete disgrace and should be deported to Israel like today, and Lindsey Graham. Over the likes of people like Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, and Rand Paul, keep in mind, was the only sitting senator who defended Trump when the Democrats were waging lawfare against him. Lindsey Graham was all in on Trump being put in prison. So in true Trumpian form, Trump betrays his friends, betrays his base, blows up everything that he said that he cared about, gets in bed with the neocons, with that sweet, sweet lucre coming in from some insignificant country in the Middle East. And then he looks at the people who got him elected, working class whites, blacks, Asians, Hispanics, and says, I do not care about you. I do not care about your interests. I do not care that you can't afford to live. I do not care about your jobs. I do not care that 70 million people are dying every single year from drug overdoses. I do not care about you. I'm getting on board with the Republican Party. That's the split. So you have on one side you have Tucker Carlson, Thomas Massey. Used to have Green. I don't know. I don't understand why she's stepping down. The smart play, in my opinion, to have been a state in Congress with margins as tight as they are. You can force a vote on anything that you want on must-pass legislation. Her walking away makes no sense to me. And on the other side, you have Randy Fine and Lindsey Graham and Mark Levin and Ben Shapiro.
This is terrible. Like, I can't believe if you told me back in 2020 that I would be supporting Marjorie Taylor Greene to stay in Congress, I would have laughed you all the way down Constitution Avenue. Like, this is like no way in hell I would have assumed, because I thought she was this baddie. I mean, and she was. Granted, the only ways that she's changed is that she's kind of moderated her wild outbursts.
Well, she also apologized.
And she has, yeah.
I mean, that takes a lot of guts, is to go to someone who you've been demonizing. Like, when she went on TV and apologized, say, hey, listen, I was a part of the problem. And she did the same thing with the Young Turks. And to Cenk Uygur's credit, which I did not see happening, he did the exact same thing. And so that's why oh yeah. I mean, he's when his co-host Anna Kasparian, she was on Tucker Carlson last week, and she said, "Hey, listen, I get it. I was just as much a part of the problem as Marjorie was, and we were both wrong. So there is more that unites the populist right and left than what people are.
And that's the danger. That's the danger, that they don't want a populist right like her, or a populist Thomas Massey, or even an Anna Kasparian who's saying mea culpa, the way I went about it is wrong, but there are things that unite us, and that we need to band together. That's the threat. They don't want that. There are things that overlap.
Yeah, I agree. So then what the question is why is she resigning? Because if I was in Congress, like if I ever got elected to Montana's first congressional seat, and I was able to take out Ryan Zinke, I would not leave, and I would work with populist Democrats on key pieces of legislation like the omnibus spending bills, and I would blow everything up to force the issues. That's how you win. You don't win by surrendering. I don't understand this.
Well, she did say she was afraid that she had received numerous death threats against her and her family.
So what?
That's I mean, how many death threats have you gotten, Robbie? I mean, I know you got doxxed, but death threats are, not everyone does well with that.
Oh, I understand. But I mean, if you're going to play in big boy politics, which is what this is, like what we saw on Deprogrammed, I mean, this reminds me of Roman Republic, end stage politics. If you are governed in a so-called representative government, but you're threatened with bodily harm unless you toe the body line, do you at that point, can you say that you live in a democracy? My answer is no. And so then what you do at that point, and it may cost.
Her answer is no also. That's why she's like, okay, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Yeah, well, she clearly is. But that means that they win. By default, that means that they win.
Well, that's true.
So then what have you accomplished? Absolutely nothing.
But maybe she thinks she can get more done as governor of Georgia.
You think she's running for governor?
Well, John thinks that, and I agree with him. Yeah.
Possibility. I don't know. I think she might be feeling out 2028.
She denied that. She made an explicit denial. Well, but no, she didn't. I'm a student of denials, and she didn't say she said categorically no. And she didn't say, like, I don't have any plans to do that, which is the weasel way to sort of say, I don't have plans to do that, is like basically, well, technically speaking, I have not yet decided to do that. But when you're, you have an exploratory committee and you're calling donors, you certainly are interested in doing it, but that's not what you're saying, right?
Well, that's just the whole problem, though. I mean, if you have to go on your hands and knees to a select group of donors who are then going to fund you, then at that point, you can't say that you have a democracy either. You're an oligarchy. Call it what it is.
Well, that's true. And that is true.
Well, of course
obviously
it is.
That's true.
And so that's my whole point. I don't understand why she's resigning. I mean, the margins in Congress are so tight. All you need is a group of 10 to 15 congressmen.
Yeah,
and you can paralyze everything. And that's how you force an agenda.
She did that before. She did that before when Matt Gaetz was still in when he was still in Congress. They did that, just like 3 or 4 or 5 of them. It was enough to paralyze the whole thing.
Yeah, that's how I got Speaker Johnson, because they forced this last speaker out.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
it's
why
true,
I don't get.
But I mean, look, I have to think from everything I've heard, being in Congress, serving in Congress is incredibly unsatisfying and unproductive. You sit around and attend a bunch of boring meetings and nothing gets done and nothing gets changed, right? So you're sort of like, fuck this, It's like, I really can see, like, I chose not to run for Congress, even though I was recruited by Governor Eliot Spitzer, to run for Suffolk County Congress. I mean, the point is, I don't know if I could have won or not, but the point is, when I thought about what was involved, the nonsense of running, the constant fundraising, and how you're one of 454, so you're never going to accomplish anything. I was just like, why would I put myself through that, except for just, the pension? I mean, God, there's got to be a better way. Although these days I'm so broke, I'm like, that pension's looking good, but
So then what you're describing then is a political system that simply no longer works.
That's what I'm describing. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So then here's my fear, is that when normal people figure this out and they realize that there's no one in DC looking out for them, and that no one cares about their future, no one cares about the future of their kids or their grandkids, and that the ruling class not only does not care on one hand, but they can actually hate you and try to undermine and destroy you on another. That's when people get violent. That's when they get radical. And that's what I'm afraid of. As people start opting out, all bets are off.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see what she does next, because I think, honestly, she's a weather vane for the future of MAGA. I think
that's
dead.
That's really the question here. How is this going to be like, oh, remember that lady? Or is it going to be like, this was a moment, an important political moment that presaged,
right?
But what does it presage is the question. Does it presage?
I don't know yet.
A split within the party and a third party? Does it presage?
This is the civil war Robbie's been talking about, the MAGA civil war. Robbie's been saying for months that it's been brewing, and I think it's the start of the culmination starts right here.
Well, the question is, who wins and what happens? How does it go down?
Don't know yet. I don't know. That's not. I think the young. If you ask any Zoomer, they're with Marjorie. They're not with Trump anymore. They've turned on him by 50 points.
Of course, but she surrendered without a fight, mind you.
So
where do they go at that point?
But they have her beliefs. They have her beliefs, is what I'm saying. So they're not with Trump anymore. So, and they're certainly not with Democrats. So if Harris thinks she's going to throw her hat back in the ring in 28, she ain't got them either.
Harris doesn't think that.
No,
that's what they're saying in California. So
it's ridiculous.
If there is a special election, and there will be, because it's a congressional seat, it's not a senatorial seat. If a dark horse populist wins, then that's going to show, to Manila's point, the power of the Gen Z vote. you know, and just say to someone, I'm not going to, I'm going to depend on you. I'm not going to take any of this donor money. I'm going to fight for you. Then that means that the America only group, the America First faction, has a chance.
Yeah.
If it's just more your milquetoast establishment, Republicans who think that Ben Shapiro is the face of the Republican Party,
another Mike Johnson.
Yeah, then it's over.
Yeah, no thanks. All right, Robbie, can you check if we have to do an ad before we move on to the next topic?
We do. You want me to go ahead and do it, or you want me to post it for you to read?
Go ahead. Either way.
You want to pop it on?
Yeah. Go ahead and do that here real quick. Just 1 second here. There we go. You probably noticed Rumble is growing fast. It's not slowing down. They're building a real alternative big tech that puts creators first and actually protects free speech. And now there's Rumble Premium, an easy way to upgrade your experience. With Premium, you get ad-free viewing cross-platform. No pre-rolls, no interruptions, just the content you came for. Plus, Premium members unlock exclusive content like bonus videos, behind-the-scenes drops, and more from your favorite creators. Right now, Rumble is offering $10 off an annual subscription. Just go to rumble.com/premium and use the promo code STUDIO at checkout. That's rumble.com/premium, promo code STUDIO. No ads, more freedom, and the content you actually care about. That's the deal.
All righty. All right, Ted, you got this next story.
Yes, I do. All right. President Trump has accused Ukraine of having zero gratitude for, computer, desktop, that. Okay, over the U.S. attempts to end nearly 4 years of war in the country, shortly after the Republican gave Kyiv until Thursday to consent to his new 28-point plan. Ukraine, quote-unquote, leadership, in scare quotes, has expressed zero gratitude for our efforts, and Europe continues to buy oil from Russia, Trump wrote in all caps in a post to his Truth Social platform on Sunday. Earlier in the week, it emerged that the Trump administration had been working with Russia to formulate a new peace plan to bring the conflict to an end. Months of largely U.S.-brokered negotiations failed to yield progress, although Ukraine did sign up to a U.S. proposal in March. Russia launched its war against Ukraine in February 2022, currently controls about 1/5 of the country. The firm conditions laid by Russia and the Ukrainians for a peace deal have long appeared irreconcilable until now. The 28-point plan received a lukewarm reception in Ukraine and by the Europeans, who've been worried that the U.S. administration's negotiations with Russia and Ukraine wouldn't prioritize European security and would shortchange the Ukrainians. Zelensky said in a video statement on Friday that the country faced losing U.S. support over the plan, but insisted he would not betray Ukraine. Zelensky said Ukraine was staring down one of the most difficult moments in our history. Ukraine still relies on U.S. military support to keep battling the Russians, including through intelligence sharing, although it has developed many of its own independent capabilities since the beginning of the war. Manila.
Show's over, buddy. I really do think Trump has flip-flopped a lot on this matter. So I mean, he went from MAGA to neocon in, like this time last year, he won overwhelmingly.
That's true.
Because he was saying what he was saying. And now he's flip-flopped on everything he has said, including Ukraine, because it's obviously been more than first day in office. The war's not over. But I hope, maybe it's my projection. I think he's tired. I think he's just kind of over it and tired of this thing dragging on. And I think he sees more business deals to be had, honestly, before he leaves office in Russia and in Ukraine, both. And that's, by and large part places, companies like BlackRock and big hedge funds going in to scoop up anything valuable that's left in the dirt. That's because let's face it, all the valuables Ukraine has to be excavated out. It's in the dirt. It's not the buildings that have to be rebuilt. They could care less about that. The companies want what's inside the ground. So that they want to go there for the rare earths. And Trump sees a deal to be had there. Trump sees a deal to be had with Russian crude and maybe, other trade and probably in the future a Trump Tower in Moscow or St. Petersburg or something, or maybe Trump Tower Crimea, where the weather is fine, and you're near the Black Sea. Like, he likes all these Riviera plans.
He does.
So I think he's just kind of fed up with Zelensky, and I think
I would be. I find him annoying as shit.
Look at him in this first meeting earlier this year when he got thrown out of the White House. I think that impression never left Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, this is like little weasel who doesn't have anything to offer. He's just coming and he's losing. And basically it's like making all sorts of demands, but it's all unrealistic because there's no way to win. What are you doing? Right. Like that.
Yeah. So I think that impression has remained, and I think Trump knows there's no realistic way. I think he's known it all along that there's no realistic way that the Ukrainians can possibly ever win this. I mean, he's not saying those words, I think, not yet. He keeps deferring back to, this is a war that should have never happened and would never have happened had I won in 2020, right? Had I rightfully been in office in 2020. He keeps deferring back to that. But I think what he actually thinks is, this guy's a loser.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with losers.
And also I think he's also like, why am I, this is a losing cause. Why throw good money after bad? They're not going to, the Ukis are not going to win. So we might as well bring this to a conclusion. And on that point, he is not wrong.
And there are other murmurings about, the strong arming that's happening. Because let's face it, they're in Geneva right now, right? The Trump negotiators.
They broke up. And
they just left.
Home. They're going home now. Yeah.
They just left. Well, when they were there, we have little Marco there, right? Really? You're going to have him go toe to toe with Sergei Lavrov? Give me a break. Little Marco versus Sergei Lavrov. Steve Witkoff is probably the only one there that's talking, or was there talking any sense. And they're allegedly.
Well, Lavrov wasn't there. Remember that.
Well, the
Russians
delegation.
Weren't there. Basically, it's hilarious. The U.S. was negotiating with Ukraine, and then basically because the Russians said, we don't have anything to talk about.
Yeah, because they're
until
like,
you get the Ukrainians to sign off.
That's right. The Russians are saying, look, I'll give you my, maybe some low-end person was there, but Lavrov has been on the phone with little Marco. You're not going to, nothing. That's why this 28-point plan looks the way it looks, is because Rubio, who people are trying to punt and say that it wasn't him that did it or whatever. Of course it was. It was him and Sergei Lavrov. And Lavrov got everything he demanded. That's because that's what it is. And the Ukrainians are there, or were there. And the Russians, to your point, Ted, didn't even physically show up because they helped architect this thing. I forget the name of the guy. I can see his face. But Sergei Lavrov's like his go-to, his boy. He looks very mature for someone that's only like late 40s. He's not even 50 yet. Mm-hmm. He has like whitish hair. He's an economics guy. I forget his name. But anyway, he looks very mature for his age. And he's probably very intelligent, but that's Lavrov's guy that he sends out to like do the talks. But Lavrov, they don't need to show up because all their points, most of them have been met. And now you got to convince this little weasel. Ted, I don't even get that sentence that I just uttered. You got to convince this little weasel? What convincing is there? You pull the rug out from under this little weasel and it's lights out.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. You're just basically just announced to him. So it's like this.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like, dude, this is what we're doing. Good night. And call it a day. Like, they're trying to be diplomatic about it. All signs point to this coming to a very quick end very soon with Keith Kellogg, who was the special advisor to Ukraine, that old asshole is stepping down supposedly right after the new year, because that asshole that we've seen on Fox, that old general, Keith Kellogg, he has, who knows what kind of smoke that guy has been blowing up Volodymyr Zelensky's ass. But
True.
that we've heard Keith Kellogg on live TV on Fox News night after night after night before he became the special envoy, before he became a member of the administration. He's right there to the far, people can't see. Right. Let me reverse it a little bit. Right here, you could see a portion of his face. He's on the far left past this boom mic, which is weird. That reporter's holding his own boom mic. But this is Keith Kellogg standing here right in front of Peter Doocy. That's the old guy right there. They know each other from Fox. And he was always on Fox tooting Ukraine's horn, talking about how great Ukraine is and how Ukraine's going to find their path to victory. Dude, if you were calling the shots on the battlefield and that was your advice, what shit advice. I hope you never had to really command a battalion or anything, because you would have led all those men to death, like just certain death. Because if that was your analysis for Fox TV, like, holy shit, why are you an advisor to the president and going over to Ukraine? Like, obviously you failed. Get out of there. So once he's out of there, I think Zelensky, the writing's on the wall, dude. Like, you made your money. Mm-hmm. All the embezzling has been done, as much as you and your friends could muster to, sniff up your nose. It's leave while you still have your hide. That's all I can, I just think, hello, look at everybody that has ever tried to play this war game with the United States. You're a useful idiot for as long as it's going to work, as long as the graft will go. And then you're dead. Get out while you can. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's just history. History has proven. I'm obviously not making a threat to him, because who am I to make a threat to this idiot? But history shows, Ted, all of these people that have ever cooperated with the U.S. in the name of saving democracy or introducing democracy to XYZ country,
it tends not to go well.
Bye-bye. When the U.S. is done and the coup or plot fails,
like an old snot rag. All right, let's keep going. All
right, let's roll. The next one, this is old footage, Ted. This one's about IVF. So it's been over 40 years now, Ted. It's been 47 years, I think, since the first IVF baby in
I forget the name.
England, Louise Brown or something like that. I think that's her name. I think Louise Brown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby Louise Brown, in somewhere in London. That's her. She was the first IVF baby. Mm-hmm. So because of that, in vitro fertilization has exploded across America. The number of babies born through assisted reproductive technologies, most of them, I don't know what else it would be, most of them via IVF.
There's IVF, and there's also IUI, which is basically turkey baster. That's like basically they it doesn't work as well for obvious reasons, but basically they take the man's sperm, and then it's basically like a turkey baster, and they shoot it way up there
so less scientific.
To get it where it needs to go, in case it would have trouble getting there on its own.
Oh.
And its effectiveness is definitely like a fraction of the effectiveness of IVF.
Oh.
I mean, it usually doesn't work.
Okay. Well, IVF then, in particular, has jumped 45% between 2013 and 2022. A more recent part of that surge now, Ted, and this is where the whole conversation shifts, is the surge in what they call elective IVF. Mm-hmm. Still a small share of overall IVF cycles in which people who could conceive naturally, these are people that can conceive naturally choose IVF deliberately to screen embryos for genetic traits linked to stuff like cancer risk, potential IQ, height, and a bunch of other things. So we've talked about this before, designer babies. It's becoming really big business with screening companies promising generational health, but doctors warn the science behind embryo scoring for complex conditions is shaky at best and could push would-be parents toward major medical and emotional decisions based on unproven data. Plus, elective IVF is reopening old debates about this designer babies conversation, the ethics of hand-picking certain traits for future children, right? I mean, this is not too far off from like what Hitler and the Nazis were looking at doing in the 1940s, right? Like
that's true.
this is
it's eugenics.
Right. You're killing off what you're going to kill off embryos that don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. Like if that's what you want. So in summary, some types of genetic testing for embryos have been around for years. The newest type is PGTP. PGTP. It uses DNA databases from adults to estimate the embryo's genetic predisposition to conditions that are not driven by just a single gene. It's an emerging consumer phenomenon, they say, in the industry.
Manila,
for
look
people
at your
who
StreamYard and put this picture up that I just put up. I sent it to you before. You remember this
Oh,
picture.
that's right. You did.
Put this up.
This is weird.
This is actually in the New York City subway. And it's a company that's literally advertising like how to have designer babies, have a healthier baby.
This
have
is
your
exactly
best
what we're
baby.
talking about.
Yeah,
Have your best
IQ
baby.
is 10 to 50% genetic is what the last sign says.
Oh, is that what it says?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, this is exactly what we're talking about here. So they're saying it's an emerging consumer phenomenon for people who don't have fertility issues or known genetic risks to do elective IVF for the purposes of having a healthier, taller child, whatever
Smarter,
best,
taller,
whatever best
prettier,
is to
cuter,
that couple.
Faster, stronger. We have the technology.
So weird. Says Kian Sadeghi. Kian Sadeghi is the CEO of embryo genetic testing company called Nucleus Genomics. Sadeghi's company screens not only for cancers and other health concerns, but for traits like height, IQ, and male pattern baldness. He said he'd understand if his own mother had chosen to implant an embryo projected to be taller than he is, because he only stands at 5'6". So he's like my size, Ted. He's a little dude, little wee dude, like Volodymyr Zelensky.
Like I was gonna say, yeah.
There's a wee little elf on a shelf.
Oh my God.
Between the lines. I mean, yes. Oh my God, Ted. If this guy just said it, he's the CEO of this company, and had this technology been available to his parents, it's quite possible that he would not have been
in the
born.
subway. That's the company. That's their ads. That's theirs.
Wait, what does it say?
Nucleus
Genomics. Is that them? Let me see.
That
is them. Oh my God. How perfect, Ted.
Yeah, and like in all, just think about how gross and like dystopian it is to have this in the subway of one of the nation's most ethnically, racially, and religiously diverse
physically
cities.
diverse, everything.
And to be like to have like on the right there, little Hitler baby, it's so gross.
Like, it's luck of the draw. You get the baby you get. Like that's part of the magic and miracle of life.
You used to, not anymore.
I don't know. I just feel like there is something a little bit. It's one thing for couples who couldn't get pregnant naturally, but this is selecting your embryo based on whatever your criteria, which I think
there was
is a little disturbing.
Of regular IVF, old OG IVF. The criticism was maybe you're not supposed to have a baby if you waited till you were 40. And sure, God's telling you can't have one. I mean, the point is that, look, this is some weird dystopian shit, But it's also
This is
like the question is, has it gone a step too far? I mean, technology just keeps going forward, and no one can stop it. I mean, the only way you could stop it is if you had a socialist state-run economy which I favor, where a scientist would come up with something like this and they'd have to get approval from the government. And I mean, I know the government, the FDA has to approve stuff like this, but it's a rubber stamp basically. As long as they pay the right congressman, that everything gets
so
done.
weird.
But like in a real country, as Robbie would say, if we were a real country, we wouldn't just do this. We would discuss it as a people, and our representatives would discuss it and say, what are the pros and cons? And we decide whether we wanted to do it, instead of just have some company you've never fucking heard of suddenly pop up ads in the subway and say, hey, you can have a designer kid. What I really object to here is the fact that in AI, in a million other technologies, we develop these things. Like, for example, we're all going to be driving giant trucks that get 2 miles per gallon and they're going downhill. And we're having no discussion as a society as to whether this is a good idea or a bad idea.
Yeah.
Real quick, last comment, Robbie.
It's disgusting and it should be banned. I mean, this is the original lie that Satan gave us, the Adam and Eve back in the Garden of Eden. Eat of this fruit and ye shall be gods. That's what this is. This is playing God, and it should be outlawed. It's disgusting.
Yeah, this is different than regular IVF. Like, this is technology.
IVF definitely plays God to some extent. I mean, look, the way that it works is when they choose, they fertilize a certain number of the sperm goes in a test tube. It goes into the eggs, and they select which eggs to implant visually using a system whose acronym I forget what it stands for, but it's ICSI, ICSI. Mm-hmm. And so basically, they physically use a needle to push the sperm into the egg, and then it's fertilized. And then they choose the blastocysts, which is to say the cells, the tiny micro fetuses in the very earliest hours after conception.
Right.
They look for the ones that are the roundest, most even, and plumpest, as opposed to the ones that are irregular. And the reason is because the ones that are irregular have a higher chance of birth defects and of not carrying to term. The rounder ones are more likely to work out and to work out well. That's a form of eugenics. Okay. Sure. I mean, it's very primitive, but where's
the uncanny valley though? Just like I'm pro robotics, but then where's the uncanny valley where they start looking like us, and that's where this is hitting for me, where you're like, I want my kid to have, pale skin and blue eyes. Like,
but I mean, you can also argue that, like, even medical care, like giving someone, I mean, if it weren't for antibiotics, I would have died many times.
Right.
Am I meant to be 62 years old?
But here's the difference, though. I mean, there's a difference.
God didn't want me to be 62.
Then you'd be dead. So, I mean, if he's a all-powerful, omnipotent being. If he did not want you alive, Ted, I guarantee you'd be dead. And
but God also gave us the brains that allowed us to come up with this technology.
Correct.
Right. This is where do we draw the line between God gave us free will and the smarts to do this?
Well, here's the difference. One of the earliest tenets of the Bible is choose life. So if you believe like what I do, is that life begins at the moment of conception. That's when a brand new being is created, and we know that's true. Ted just described the entire process.
No, that is true.
Then these embryos that just get discarded, those are unborn babies who have been murdered. That is a statement of fact.
Yeah, that's a form of life. Yeah, they're alive.
And so that's why IVF. That's why prominent IVF doctors often get death threats from pro-life type people, because they're like, "You're killing babies," and because if someone's killing babies, I mean, you certainly have people should be stopped, right?
Yeah. Ted, that's why I don't eat the Filipino delicacy balut.
So, but to Ted's point, though, I just kind of finish this through before we have to end the show. You're not killing someone when penicillin is made. You're not killing someone when aspirin or antibiotics.
The argument is
are
saving
made.
life.
Correct. So it's kind of like the whole collective punishment thing. It's one of the reasons why me as a pro-lifer, that's why I oppose this thing called genocide. Collective punishment is wrong.
How would you feel about IVF if the procedure did not involve the discarding of fertilized cells?
I'd be fine with it.
Okay.
Honestly,
well, I think
I'd be fine
that's how Octomom ended up with the 8 baby pregnancy. She was like, put them all in there, and the doctor was like, okay.
Yeah, but they're not supposed to do that.
No, of course not. But that's kind of what happened. Anyway, Ted, I think we'll punt on that last story because it's a holiday. It'll work for tomorrow, especially.
Okay, let's do it tomorrow. Sounds good.
So we'll punt on that. We got to go promptly at 11 today. So we'll be back mañana for the last show of the week. Make sure you guys hit that like button, the subscribe, help us out. And if you're in the position to subscribe with the $5 on Rumble, the $5 monthly membership to our show, it really does help us a lot.
And premium content is dropping this week. And if you want to see it, be a channel subscriber or a Rumble premium subscriber. Of the two, the memberships help us the most.
Woohoo! Thank you all. We'll be back tomorrow, Tuesday. Adios, amigos.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.